I am Amara Wells, and I am 32 years old. For most of my life, I believed that love was proven through usefulness. I believed that if I carried enough responsibility, stayed quiet enough, and solved enough problems, I would eventually earn a different kind of affection. Not louder love, just equal love. I was wrong about that. Before we continue, please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. This community means everything to us, and your support helps these stories reach the people who need them most. I should have known something was wrong the moment my mother, Elaine, told me to arrive 3 hours early for Thanksgiving. Not asked, told. In our family, that tone carried weight. It meant obligation. It meant expectation. It meant my role was already decided. I pulled into my parents' driveway at exactly 2 p.m., my car heavy with grocery bags. I'd paid for the turkey. I'd prepared the ham. I'd bought ingredients for 3 side dishes that somehow never made it onto anyone else's list. The house smelled warm and familiar, but the tightness in my chest told me this day would not end well. "There's my worker bee," my father, Calvin Wells, called out from his recliner, eyes still locked on the television. That nickname had followed me my entire life. Worker bee. Always busy. Always reliable. Always background. My younger brother, Julian, had a different title. The Star. Mom barely acknowledged me before launching into instructions. "Chop this. Stir that. Don't forget the seasoning." My sister-in-law, Brielle, arrived an hour later, kissed Mom's cheek, poured herself wine, and sat down. She never offered to help. She never had to. Julian arrived 30 minutes before dinner wearing a tailored designer jacket that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. Dad stood up like royalty had entered the room. "The king has arrived," he announced proudly. Dinner was crowded. Loud. Chaotic. I arranged chairs. Set tables. Printed place cards because Aunt Lorraine insisted. When everyone finally sat, the conversation revolved exactly where it always did, Julian. "Tell them about the Zurich opportunity," Mom said, eyes glowing. Julian spoke confidently about deals that were always almost finalized. Big numbers. Big promises. Everyone leaned in. No one questioned the fact that these deals never quite materialized. No one asked about my promotion. No one asked about the department restructure I led that saved over 120 jobs. When I tried to speak, Mom raised her hand. "Let your brother finish." Something settled deep in my chest then. Heavy. Familiar. After dinner, I stood at the sink washing dishes because once again the dishwasher was broken. That's when I heard my father and Julian talking in the den. "She still has us listed on the policies, right?" Julian asked. "Yes," Dad replied. 2 policies. Just under $1.4 million total. "That'll cover retirement nicely." My hands stopped moving. "She knows her role," Dad added. "Always has." The room seemed to tilt. I walked into the den, yellow gloves still dripping with dishwater. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked. Dad frowned. "Planning what?" "The insurance. The retirement plan." "Me." Julian smiled awkwardly. "You're taking this the wrong way. Families help each other." "Help?" I repeated quietly. "Or a sign." Mom rushed in, face tight. "Lower your voice. We have guests." I didn't care anymore. "When did you decide my purpose in this family was to fund everyone else's future?" Silence filled the room. Dad stood, towering. "You're the worker. Julian is the star. That's your role. Accept it or leave." The words were sharp. Casual. Final. Something inside me went completely still. I smiled. "Okay," I said. And for the first time in my life, I meant it. I pulled my phone from my pocket slowly, deliberately, like someone who had already made peace with the outcome. "What are you doing?" my brother Julian asked, stepping closer, his confidence cracking for the first time that day. "I'm dealing with it," I said calmly. My thumbs moved across the screen with a steadiness that surprised even me. The first email went to my insurance agent. "Please remove all beneficiaries from Policy A, 6612 and Policy B, 8849 effective immediately. I will submit new designations within 30 days. My father's face changed instantly. The authority drained out of it, replaced by something closer to panic. "What did you just send?" he demanded. I looked up at him. "Exactly what you told me to do, Dad." I accepted my options. Julian laughed nervously. "You're being dramatic. You don't just cancel things like that." "Yes, you do," I replied. "When they were never consensual to begin with." My mother Elaine rushed forward. "Give me that phone," she said, reaching for it. I stepped back. No, I said quietly. Something in my voice stopped her. For the first time in my life, she looked unsure of herself around me. The second email went out, this time to my estate attorney. Emergency appointment requested. Need immediate revision of will, trusts, and all beneficiary designations. Timeline critical. What is wrong with you? Julian snapped. That money is family money. I turned to him slowly. No, it's not. It's my life. My premiums. My work. The only reason your names were there is because I was conditioned to believe being useful was the same as being loved. The room erupted. My mother started crying, real tears this time, not the strategic kind. My father began pacing, muttering about disrespect and ungrateful children. My sister-in-law Brielle had her phone out, recording, her lips tight with judgment. You're destroying this family, my mother sobbed. I shook my head. No, I'm refusing to let it destroy me. The third email went out, to my financial advisor. Please freeze all accounts where family members have access. Remove permissions, change security credentials. I want complete financial separation effective immediately. Julian stared at me in disbelief. You can't do this on Thanksgiving. I didn't choose the timing, I said. You did. When you told me to accept being less than or leave. My father finally exploded. You walk out that door, don't come back. You hear me? You're choosing to break this family. I picked up my purse from the kitchen counter, where it had sat untouched since I arrived. I'm not breaking this family, I said. I'm stepping out of the role that was slowly killing me. Behind me, voices overlapped, arguments, accusations, attempts to rewrite the moment in real time. My uncle tried to intervene. My aunt whispered about disrespect. My cousin stared at me like she was seeing something she'd never imagined was possible. At the door, Julian followed me. Wait, he said. Can we talk privately? Something in his voice made me pause. Just for a moment. You're really going to let money come between us? He asked. I looked at him, truly looked at him. This isn't about money, I said. It's about the fact that you just watched Dad tell me I was worth less than you. And you said nothing. He opened his mouth. Closed it. You've had 32 years to speak up, I continued. Every time they dismissed my achievements. Every time they expected me to clean up your messes. You stayed silent because it benefited you. I didn't know what to say, he whispered. That's the problem, I replied. You never tried. From the hallway, my mother called out. Where will you go? It's Thanksgiving. I opened the door. Cold air rushed in, sharp and cleansing. Somewhere I'm valued, I said. Somewhere I'm not a function. You'll regret this, Julian said. I smiled, softly, honestly. No, I said. But you might want to start figuring out that retirement plan. I drove for nearly an hour with no destination, letting instinct guide me until I ended up at a quiet waterfront park. The sky was streaked with orange and purple, the kind of beauty that feels undeserved when your chest is aching. My phone buzzed endlessly. I ignored it. Instead, I called my best friend Nina. She answered on the first ring. How's Thanksgiving? She asked. I broke. Not angry tears. Grieving ones. Tears for the family I wanted but never had. She listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't minimize. I'm proud of you, she said when I finished. I know this hurts, but you chose yourself. 20 minutes later, she pulled up with food and quiet understanding. She didn't ask questions. She just sat with me. That night, the messages came in waves. Some angry, some manipulative, some accusing. But one message made my chest tighten. My cousin Leah, 19 years old. Thank you for saying what I've always felt. I didn't know we were allowed to choose ourselves. I stared at the screen for a long time. If nothing else, at least one cycle ended that day. I didn't sleep much that night. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't pretending anymore. And that felt like freedom. The weeks after that Thanksgiving were some of the quietest and loudest of my life. Quiet because my phone stopped ringing once the shock wore off. Loud because the silence forced me to hear my own thoughts for the first time without guilt screaming over them. I was officially uninvited from Christmas, removed from the family group chat, and labeled difficult, in conversations I wasn't part of anymore. My mother sent messages every few weeks. Long ones. Emotional ones. Messages about heartbreak, confusion, and how she didn't understand what she'd done wrong. My father sent nothing. My brother tried once or twice before giving up. His messages always circled back to money, fairness, and how I'd gone too far. But something else happened too. I started breathing again. I met weekly with my estate attorney and financial advisor. We rebuilt everything from the ground up. New beneficiaries, new protections, new boundaries. The life insurance policies were reassigned, not to blood obligation, but to intention. A portion went into an education fund for my cousin Leah. Another portion went to organizations that supported adults healing from family-based financial abuse. For the first time, my money reflected my values, not my fear. 6 months after Thanksgiving, I accepted a new role, Chief Operations Officer at a healthcare company. During the interview, they asked about my proudest accomplishment. I talked about the merger I'd led years earlier, the one my family had shushed me for mentioning. The room went quiet. "That's star-level leadership," my new boss said. I cried in the bathroom afterward. I bought a condo shortly after. My name only. No shared access. No emergency keys handed out to people who felt entitled to my space. My best friend Nina helped me decorate it. Bold colors. Modern art. A home office that looked like success because it was earned, not assigned. I hosted my first dinner party there 6 months later. Chosen family filled the room. Friends who asked questions, celebrated wins, and didn't expect me to clean up after everyone else. For the first time, laughter felt light. Still, grief doesn't disappear just because freedom arrives. Some mornings, I'd wake up and instinctively reach for my phone to call my mother. Other days, I'd see something funny and think my brother would love this, before remembering everything. Therapy helped me understand that grief doesn't mean regret. It means mourning what never existed. The call came on a Wednesday evening. My mother's number. "Your father had a heart attack," she said, her voice small. "He's stable. But he's asking for you." My chest tightened. "Has anything changed?" I asked gently. "Do you see me differently now? Or do you just need the worker be back because there's an emergency?" Silence. "I hope he recovers," I said. "I truly do. But I'm not coming back to be reduced again." She cried. I listened. And then I hung up. That night, Nina showed up without asking. Thai food. Wine. No advice. Just presence. "You okay?" she asked. "I will be," I said. And for the first time, I meant it. A year after that Thanksgiving, Leah graduated with honors. I sat in the front row cheering louder than anyone. She hugged me afterward and whispered, "You showed me it was okay to choose myself." "No," I corrected her. "You did that. I just refused to stay small." My parents attended her graduation. They didn't speak to me. They didn't acknowledge me. And for the first time, it didn't hurt. I had already grieved them. I will now fund scholarships for first-generation students who've been made family caretakers too young. People like me. People told they were workers when they were always stars. I never went back to that Thanksgiving table. Never reconciled with parents who never apologized. Never rebuilt a relationship with a brother who never acknowledged his privilege. But I gained something better. Peace. Agency. Self-respect. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and future generations, is walk away. And if you stayed with me until the end of this story, thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. If this story sounds like your life, know this. Choosing yourself is not betrayal, it's survival. You were never just a worker. You were always a star.